a particular form of dress, a lungi, a sari, a chudidar, a formal dress, singing or listening a classical music, a pop music, the musical instruments themselves, the houses which we live in, the agriculture instruments we use, are they part of culture? What is your opinion? We use the term culture in different connotations in general. Western culture, Indian culture, Indian American culture, youth culture, online culture, like in many instances, like culture of poverty. Can we use these terms? What is the difference between these terms? Or what is the underlying construct common in all these things? Next, there is a buzz term nowadays, like live-in relations, especially in metros, not almost frequent in rural areas. In metros, we often hear live-in relations, especially with respect to film stars, celebrities. Can we consider live-in relations in India as part of culture? Can we consider marriage as culture? We have got parliamentary form of government where we have prime minister, president. Can we consider them as cultural? We have got different structures of hairs, like a woolly hair, silky hair, wavy hair. Say, for example, Africans or Negroids, they have curly or a woolly hair. Can we consider that as cultural? Can we consider any society or an individual as uncultured? If you can consider an individual or a society as uncultured, when will you call an individual or society as uncultured? Can you name any society or an individual whom you think are uncultured? Next, my question for you is culture unique to human beings? We often see ants, honeybees, many primates, apes, chimpanzees. They do have a social life. Ants, honeybees, they build their own nests. They carry off the dead bodies out. They feed the infants. Can we though say that these animals have culture? Let me explain the concept of culture in a step by step, in a sequential manner. Culture refers to the total way of life. Culture refers to the total way of life. What all the things we do from womb to tomb, they constitute culture. All put together forms culture. In this, no aspect of the culture is higher or lower. All the aspects, the finer aspects, the mundane aspects, all have been given the same level of recognition in anthropology. So, washing of dishes, driving automobiles, wearing a lungi, pancha, sari, musical instruments themselves, houses, agriculture implements are all parts of culture. The mundane things stand par with the finer things. No part or no practice is higher and no practice is lower in culture. All have been given the equal importance. All stand on par with each other. According to anthropologists, there is no uncultured society or an uncultured individual. I repeat, in anthropology, or according to anthropologists, there is no uncultured society or an uncultured individual. Each society, however primitive it may be, however simple it may be, has a culture. Each society has a culture. So we can't call any society as uncultured. At the same time, the individuals, the members of a society, they participate in one culture or the other. Individuals or the members of the society participate in one culture or the another. So we can't say or we can't consider any individual as uncultured. Next, for anything to be called as cultural, it should be commonly shared. Culture is commonly shared. If you are not sharing anything in common, then that is not called as cultural. An individual's views, opinions, thoughts, beliefs are his own individual things. They're not cultural because not they are not commonly shared. If that individual's thoughts, behaviors, activities, beliefs are shared commonly among the group, then it is called as cultural. If only one person thinks or does certain things, that thought or action represent a personal habit and not the pattern of culture. For a thought or action to be considered cultural, some social group must commonly share it. Even if some behavior is not cultural, even if some behavior is not commonly practiced, it is cultural if most people think it is appropriate. I repeat this. Even if some behavior is not commonly practiced, it is cultural if most people think it is appropriate. So, live-in relations in this context, we can say that live-in relations in India are not cultural because it is not practiced by most members of the society. Only few, maybe celebrities, some other persons, some few people may practice this, not all. And also, the society as a whole has not given its approval for the living relations. So it is not cultural. We have got parliamentary form of government, we have got president, prime minister. They are cultural. They are cultural even though they are not shared. The office of president, office of prime minister is not shared by all the people. But all the people, all the citizens of India agree that this office should exist. Say they, though they agree to these offices, so they are also cultural. Anything which is shared cannot be considered as cultural. For anything to be called as cultural, it should be both shared and learned. Say, for example, the hairs, the color of the skin, what we share with each other is not cultural. The color of the skin we have is genetical, biological. It is not cultural. So, for anything to be called as cultural, it should be both. It should be both learned and also shared. It should be both learned and shared. For something to be considered cultural, it should be learned as well as shared. Culture is not biological, it is learned. A typical hair color is not cultural because it is genetically determined. Those things which are genetically determined are not considered as cultural. We can consider a typical hair color as cultural only when it is like when it is having a patterned painting or pattern dyeing in a particular way, then we can call that as cultural. Say for example, the sumo fighters in Japan, they tie their hairs in a particular fashion that we call as cultural, not the just the hairs themselves. So to sum up, culture refers to total way of life according to Ralph Linton. And the second important definition is culture is that complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, moral, law, customs, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. These two definitions are important, and you have to internalize and memorize and reproduce these things in the examination. Similarly, we can go for a general simple definition, that is, culture refers to learned behaviors and ideas that are characteristics of a particular society or other social group. I repeat, culture refers to the learned behaviors and ideas that are characteristic of particular society or other group. Here, ideas includes the beliefs, the attitude, the values, the ideals. Hope by now the concept of culture is clear. Then, is culture unique to human beings? Till recently, many anthropologists thought that culture is unique to human beings. But some of the anthropologists, they say that non-human primates do have culture. Some of the anthropologists suggest that non-human primates, they have some things which are learned and which are commonly shared. Say for example, a chimpanzee uses a stick to eat termites from termite holes. This behavior of chimpanzees is learnt and commonly shared. It is not biological. So, to this extent, we can consider some of the primates are having the culture. So, we can say that some of the primates do have culture. But ants, honeybees, which build their own nests, which carry the dead off, which carry and feed the infants. These behaviors of ants and honeybees are not cultural because they are not learned. They may be commonly shared, but they are not learned. They are biological. So, in this sense, Some primates do have culture, but there is difference between the culture what we have and the culture what the primates have. We have got a sophisticated culture. The culture which is present among the primates is rudimentary. Here, non human animals, including primates, do not intentionally or deliberately teach one another as we humans do. And non human animals do not appear to have the ability to symbolize. They do not have the ability to symbolize. What is this symbolic form or symbolizing the things? Symbols refers to arbitrary meaningful units or models we use to represent reality. Symbols refers to arbitrary meaningful units or models we use to represent reality. Language is one of the most important symbolic forms of learning. What is this symbolization? Say, for example, a parent. A parent can tell what exactly a snake is to his child. A parent can tell his child that how the snake appears, the length, the breadth, the color, the way it moves. Even in the absence of snake, the parent can tell his child that these are the animals you should avoid, they are harmful. This the parent can do even in the absence of snake. If the language was not symbolic, the parent should wait till the snake come, and after that only you will be able to show that this is the snake, this is harmful, you have to avoid. Means here we are giving like a meaningful, we are giving a meaningful models to some of the words which are arbitrary. It means, say for example, dog, cow. These words don't have any meaning attached to themselves. Cow and dog does not mean anything meaningful to a person who is not knowing English. In this way, these words are symbolic. We humans are able to pass on our culture from generation to generation through the symbolic language. But animals lack this.